Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Luke, and today we're going to do a little stretching and mobility. We'll start with some nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, clearing out our lungs and preparing our body for movement. We will then take our right hand, reach for the middle of our back, left hand grabs the right elbow, pulls it down, and then we'll lean to the left, feeling that stretch from our armpit all the way down to our hip. We can then accentuate it by rotating our chest up towards the ceiling, feeling that stretch in our intercostals. Coming back to center, we then bring left hand to the middle of the back, right hand grabs the left elbow. Again, we lean over to the right and rotate that chest up with a nice deep breath held in our lungs. Coming back to center, we will take right hand on top of head, left hand to small of back. Relaxing the shoulders, we will gently pull away from the left shoulder, feeling a stretch from the back of the ear to the top of the shoulder. Once we're ready, we will rotate forward, looking down at our toes, and feel that stretch move around to the back of the neck. Come back out the way you came in, first coming back to the right, then back to center, and we change our hands. Left hand on top, right hand to the small of the back, relax the shoulders and pull away from the right shoulder. We then rotate down, looking at the toes, feel the stretch move around to the back of the neck. And we come out the way we came in, coming back to center and releasing our arms. We will then spread our feet out nice and wide, cradle our elbows, fold over at the waist, and hang heavy down in the center. Once we've settled into this stretch, we can start swaying from side to side, maybe even adding a figure eight pattern in that movement to help open up the shoulders and get them ready as well. As we sway, we will feel a nice dynamic engagement of our hamstrings, getting them prepared for more specific engagement in just a moment. We will drop our hands down to center, point our fingers behind us, and pull ourselves back towards our heel line, feeling a nice stretch in our groin and hamstrings. Remember, if you only can reach, that is totally okay. There's no such thing as a better stretch, just different levels of mobility. We will then come back to center and walk ourselves over to our right foot, folding at the waist, trying to keep the stretch in our posterior chain as much as possible. Walk it over to the left and repeat on this side. Remember, we want to hold our stretches for about 10 to 20 seconds and focus on breathing through the entire movement. Coming back to center, we will walk our hands forward into downward dog, hips up nice and proud, and we'll start to walk out our heels, pressing those heels down into the floor, feeling each calf. Then we will transition forward through high plank, hips all the way down to the floor, chest nice and proud, palms below shoulders for a nice Cobra Stretch. To accentuate our stretch, we can rotate shoulders away from hips, feeling that stretch move around in the core. Otherwise, we can hang out in Cobra if that is enough challenge. Coming back to high plank, right foot outside of right palm, left knee down, eyes up, chest up, hips forward. We can then drop or hang that right elbow inside of that right foot while keeping eyes and chest up to challenge those hips. Both arms can come down if you feel comfortable doing so. Replacing the palms underneath us, we then bring right palm to right knee and look over the shoulder, being careful to keep forward pressure in the hip downward towards that heel. Coming back to center, we then look away and push away. And finally, we replace those palms. We're going to come up on top of the lunge, pushing that hip forward to really open up the left hip flexor. We'll then come over the left knee, straighten out the right, nice and tall out of the hips, and over onto the toes for more specific hamstring engagement. Gently come out of the stretch, return to your lunge, return the palms to the floor, pick up the left knee, and then left foot goes outside of left palm, right knee comes down, eyes up, chest up, driving that hip forward towards that heel, and when we're ready, dropping and hanging that left elbow, eyes up, chest up. Both elbows can meet you on the ground if you are accepting of that challenge. Remember, we are looking for good stretches here, not impressive movements. Returning the palms to the floor, left palm on top of left knee, look over the shoulder. And then look away and push away. Coming back to center, replacing the palms on the floor, come up on top of the lunge, straighten out the left leg, fold over from the hips, reaching for the toes. Gently ease yourself out of this stretch. We will return to our lunge, pick up the right knee, left foot goes behind, right knee to right elbow, right foot to left. We will come down into pigeon. We want to make sure our hips are square to the floor here so we're not leaning over to the right, and we want our shin as perpendicular to our spine as possible, but that will come with time. Feel free to stay up on your palms, come down on your elbows, or come lower if you feel the challenge is appropriate. After holding this for 20 seconds or longer, we will return to high plank, return our right leg behind us, left knee to left elbow, left foot to right side. We fold down into pigeon on the opposite side. Again, hips are square, eyes are forward. We are on palms, elbows, or lower. Easing ourselves out of pigeon stretch, we come to tabletop, knees below hips, palms below shoulders. We will then do cat and cow. We will start the movement by dropping the belly button, breathing in deep and looking up. We then exhale, arc our back, and press our palms into the ground, feeling the extent of the stretch, breathing nice and deep and going nice and slow through the motions to feel out our trunk. From here, we're going to bring our toes together and we're going to fold back into child's pose, reaching our arms forward as far as we can. We can then work it over to the left, reaching far with our right arm to open up those intercostals on that side yet again. And gently walking ourselves over to the right side, we will reach far with the left arm to feel the opposite stretch. Coming out of child's pose, however you see fit, come down onto your sits bones, nice and proud out of the hips. We will fold over onto our toes. After another 10 to 20 seconds here, we're going to straighten out that right leg, bring the left foot to the inner right thigh, and nice and tall out of the hips and over onto the right side. Our hamstrings are often way too tight from sitting all day. We cannot give them enough love and attention, so let's take our time. Transitioning to the opposite side, straighten out the left foot, right foot comes to the inner left thigh, and over onto the toes. Next, to open up our lower back and our piriformis, we're going to cross right foot over left leg, hug the knee in tight to the chest with our left arm, and then we can add a little rotation here. Coming back to center, we can switch it up. Left goes over right, hug it in tight with the right arm. Left arm can help. Really feeling out that gluten piriformis, and when you're ready, adding a little rotation to open up the thoracic spine. Next up is our 3-part quad stretch. We'll start by folding the right foot underneath, laces down, coming down onto the left elbow. This is part 1. We will then come into part 2, both elbows down, and if we feel the challenge, coming all the way down to the ground on part 3. Nice deep breaths to help relax that lower back and glute down onto the floor, really feeling that stretch transition into the quad. You can get a good stretch in part 1, 2, or 3 of this, remembering that there is no better stretch, just different levels of mobility. On the left side, we come in the same way, laces down onto the right elbow first, then both, and finally down onto our upper back. Deep breaths to relax into the position and let it transition into the quad. As always, ease your way out of the stretch the same way you came in, straighten out those legs. Second to last stretch here, marry the soles of the feet together, grab the toes, drive the heels back into the hips, and use those elbows to press the knees down to open up the adductors. A few deep breaths here, and we're coming to the end of our stretches for the day. Gently release the butterfly stretch, come up to standing, interlace the fingers together, palms away, up overhead. We've opened up the lungs, let's fill up the lungs, deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, release, and you are stretched.